City. How are you this evening, friends? It's fantastic to be with you beautiful people. My name is Justin Sane. I sing and play guitar in Anti-Flag. We've got some friends here. Number 2, Chris, Pat. Give me a round of applause. Oh, you know we are. But 2 very, very special friends with us, Larry and Kayla. And before we play, we wanted to have a little discussion with these guys, and I'll tell you why. We're asked so often, how can I get involved in activism? What can I do to be the change? Like, I'm just one little person in this world. I care about it. I want it to be better. I want to make it better. I want to get out there and get involved. But Justin saying, I'm just one person. What the fuck can I do? You know what I mean? Well, I'll tell you what. I can answer that question for you. But why take the answer from an amateur when you have 2 professionals sitting right here, okay? That's the first reason that they're here tonight. To give some direction, to give some insight, to give you some inspiration. And when it comes to the word inspiration, that is absolutely the second reason that we have them with us tonight. Because on the news, in the mainstream media, what do we get? We get the Kardashians, we get Whitney Houston's family, we get bullshit. We get bullshit from talking heads who ask politicians softball questions. We have dysfunction in Washington. What we need a lot more of, is people like these guys on the TV, on the airwaves, the people's airwaves, by the way. So tonight we wanted them to have an opportunity to speak directly to you, to give you that inspiration like they've given to us. So please, listen with respect. Let's have a hell of a good time tonight with these guys, okay? Give them a round of applause. I'm gonna start first with Larry. Larry was very involved in Ferguson. He was inspired to leave home and go to Ferguson. He was there for over 100 days. It cost him his job. That said, that might be a good thing, and he can tell you all about it, so take it away, my friend.
What's up, peoples? What's up? My name is Larry Fellows III. I work for Amnesty International. As he told you, I did a lot of work in Ferguson. I'm born and raised from St. Louis, so my activism was basically blossomed from Mike Brown being murdered in the streets around the corner from my house. So that's why I'm here, and I think it's definitely important that people are more active in their communities and active in social justice. Like, human rights is humans being involved in what's important in their lives. So I think it's definitely important that bands like Anti-Flag are doing, uplifting their voices like you guys and myself to do this type of work. So I think it's definitely important.
Well said. Well said. And so Kayla, can you build on that? Can you tell us, what do you do with Amnesty? What's your role?
Definitely. First of all, thank you so much for having us on. How's everyone doing?
Yeah.
Bloody fantastic. I love it. Alright, so I'm with Amnesty International. I'm a field director, and basically my job is to get folks to take action. What does that mean? Everything from writing a letter to taking to the streets. Every single person here has the potential to change the world. Every single person here can make the world better than whence they came into it. That's why we're here, right? Bands like Anti-Flag give a shit about what happens in this world. Bands like Anti-Flag are the voice of a generation. And that generation is saying we are sick and tired of it. We are sick of oppression. We are sick of racism. We are sick of homophobia. We are sick of sexism.
All right. So let me ask you this then. I want to take that spirit and that energy. How does Amnesty take that spirit and energy? How do you use it? How do you focus it? What does Amnesty International do? How can people be involved one person at a time?
Join us.
What's that mean? How do we do that? If I want to join it, first of all, what does the Amnesty International do? Really break it down specifically. What does the Amnesty International do?
Amnesty International is a human rights organization. We're all over the world. We're here to do research, advocacy, and grassroots activism. Where it's the hottest. We are where human rights abuses are happening. We're ducking bullets. We're ducking tear gas canisters. We're there to make sure that every single person on this earth have their basic fundamental human rights respected.
Well said. Well said. Now, my understanding, of activism is there are many degrees of activism, right? I mean, you have people that they're people like our friend here. He just left home. He went to Ferguson. He was like, you know what? Fuck my job. My job sucks, right? And he said, I'm gonna go to Ferguson. I'm gonna be on the streets. I'm gonna organize. I'm gonna be there. Not everybody feels that they can do that in their lives. Not everyone is at a time where they're willing to push that hard. So how can they be involved on an individual level, maybe at a level that they're not uprooting their life so drastically?
Definitely. Amnesty is everywhere, right? We're in schools, we're in communities. We're outside right now in the main lobby, and we need you to join us. Because our theory of change is when enough people care, when enough people take action, that's when things change. Because we've seen it over and over again, that those in power are afraid of the people. They're afraid of people power. So that's what we bring. And we need y'all to bring that to the rest of the world.
So can you give us some examples where Amnesty has got involved in a human rights abuse and where Amnesty has been able to make a difference and make a change? Give us one. Give us one.
In 1999, I met a Tibetan nun who was in prison for about 11 years. At one point in the prison, she was taken to an interrogation room, and y'all know about electric cattle prods, right? Okay, they're about the size of, they're pretty large, and what they did is they raped her with it. They sexually assaulted her until her heart stopped. And when she was telling us this, the whole room was just bawling with their fists tight, we just couldn't even process that kind of pain. And what she told us was that because people started writing letters, because people started calling in, because people started showing up to the Chinese consulate and demanding her release, they stopped torturing her. They started feeding her, and she was released.
There you go. There you go. Now I know, I think one of the things that I've seen with us, with working with Amnesty International over the years, is that story repeated again and again and again. Amnesty, to me, I think is one of the most important organizations in the world because they literally save people's lives. And it doesn't take a lot from a person individually. What it takes is for you to sit down, write a letter, sign a petition, because what happens is when enough of us do that, just as Kayla was saying, when enough of us do that, that's when real change comes. And it might seem like a small thing to you. You write a letter, like, oh really, I don't know, it doesn't feel like I'm doing much. Trust me, if you're in a prison being tortured with a cattle prod, every fucking letter matters. And that's why we need all of us to be involved. That said, can you talk to us, Larry, about the work that you did in Ferguson? How did you get involved? You left home, you went to Ferguson. What first of all inspired you to say, I'm going to go to Ferguson just to go? And then what led to, where did things go from there? And how did you get involved in the work that you ended up doing in Ferguson?
I mean, initially it was subconsciously, but I saw on Twitter this body laying in the street for over 4.5 hours, and I knew something about that was wrong. I knew that could have been me. I knew that could have been an uncle, a best friend. I knew there was something that I had to do. I had to be present, and I had to make a change. And we have to start holding our government accountable. We have to start holding police accountable. We have to start holding our politicians, the people that we vote into office, accountable. All of us, we have to start holding each other accountable. I was holding myself accountable by showing up and finding out what I can do to make my community a better place.
And these kind of things, I mean, when you look at the Michael Brown case, I think when I look at it, I think to myself, well, the reason that Ferguson exploded, I mean, you know, that anger, it doesn't happen in a vacuum, right? I mean, really, whether, you know, the Michael Brown case in a lot of ways, it created a lot of controversy, and there was people for and against, but the reality is that that's just one example of a much broader problem that's happening all over the place, which ultimately we saw it with the Eric Gardner case, even a more intense example of that, because it's actually on videotape, watching police murder someone, no one being held accountable. This powder keg, how do you feel that we can counter this kind of this police abuse that's taking place right now in our nation?
Most definitely. That's one venue right there. There are a lot of people that feel that taking the streets is not for them. There's different venues of being involved in social justice. There's different ways of being an activist. There are people out there behind the scenes that are creating these actions, and people show up. There are people that are writing letters. There are people that are calling to their politicians. There are people that are doing also the legislative work. So there's so many different venues of people being involved in changing their communities. And I think the best way, I think what has happened with Ferguson is people are starting to talk about race. They're starting to talk about homophobia and Islamophobia. They're starting to talk about all these issues that are so deep-rooted in this community, in this country. People are talking to each other. I think that's where it starts. Once people start being aware of what the issues are in this country, they start educating themselves and they start wanting to do the work. So I think it starts with opening your mouth.
Well, and that's why I want to applaud you guys for being out there and doing the work you do, because you're the ones that are creating this dialogue. And we really need that. And
one thing that we have to remember, and this is true for any culture in all societies, change doesn't happen from the top down. It always happens from the bottom up. Yeah. And the bottom comes from people in the streets, people writing letters, people making things happen. So when you're sitting at home and frustrated about the way your life is, talk to your friend, because the two people on the streets can turn into 2,000 and then 200,000. And that's how change really happens.
That's the absolute truth, you know?
So we want to thank our Amnesty International people for being here.
You guys gonna hang out in the back if people want to talk to you, if people want to get involved. Do you want to get involved? They're gonna be in the back. Check out their table. Talk to these guys. It's important.
And we're gonna go downstairs and get ready and come back out and play some rock show.
We're gonna rock your fucking faces off, okay?
So we'll see you.